Hi everyone, today is 14th of February 2025. Welcome to Authentic Ingenuity Entrepreneur. My name is Mina Crichton, and today I will be continuing with the in the moment evidence and just guided by what's on my heart today. But before we get into that, I will just go through an introduction. Okay, for those that are new on board, Authentic Ingenuity Entrepreneur is actually my YouTube channel. Basically, it's got everything about myself, my personal testimony, my professional life when I was working, and also my court cases, which is actually real and still pending in the courts. So basically what I'm challenging in the courts is that I'm actually fighting for my entity, for the protection and the personal property rights of myself and my personal existence of myself, meaning everything to do with my personal property. Okay, for those that have been watching for a very long time now with what I'm going through, everything you see is real. Everything is me talking about what I'm going through personally as my own personal journey and my own personal testimony in my own words. Nobody is telling me what to say or forcing me to say anything. I'm speaking purely from my own mind and my own heart, and just, so everything on my channel is real and authentic. And some of my clips are scripted, but most of them doing with my court cases aren't, because you can't go into court, doing that kind of thing where somebody's dictating. It doesn't work that way. So anyway, this is my real world, my real life testimony, and I'm just going to go with it. So this clip here, this post here is just to get everybody in the mindset of I'm being animated, or inanimated is the word. So the opposition is using subway or substitutes to animate me and living off my life, or pretending to live, to be somebody that they are actually not in real life. Okay, so I'm dealing with public deception, but when it comes to the court, only one foundation should be the services of any government agency, and that's integrity, nothing else. So you're either one or the other, and you can't be both while you're working for the government. So basically what I'm doing is I'm purely focusing on my personal property, which is my profile, which is my right as a human being, as an individual, and as a New Zealand citizen. So what I've been subject to illegally, now I can prove, is I've been subject to illegal Commonwealth gain for years. I didn't know, but everything makes sense with why I was going through what I was going through within my personal space while I was working for my employer and in my private life. So it is a sport, a real life sport, and it's quite serious. So if you don't protect yourself and do what you will know what to do, you could end up being in very serious set of circumstances. But what I have found is that they are secretly stealing, and they are secretly switching. Okay, I thought I'd use this post today because I have spoken quite a bit about the opposing allies, or whoever was responsible with what I was going through when I was working for my employer, that I was subject to an illegal scientific experiment, and that's clearly now concrete in my personal profile, being my everything about me in court. But this here is the best way I could describe it. Everything about it is criminal. It falls in the criminal jurisdiction 100%, and it's crimes against the administration of law and justice, and how they've dealt with my case legally. So there's a lot of mix match information, or it's just my personal profile is a mess because I'm being twinned and inclined to the substitute. Up here is what I'd call, they call themselves agencies, and this is what we're actually really dealing with behind the scene with the hub desk. And if you're locked out, you're dealing with people you have no idea who they are, They call themselves agencies, and then they can be anyone from around the world, right? But if you're on, I noticed that some of them they call themselves sponsors. So these people can be anybody in government, can be any super rich person from around the world, can be anyone, a gang member or anyone, but you don't know who they are, and that is the danger of the system, is what I have found out. Okay, the reality is I have discovered in my personal profile and my court cases that treason is a betrayal to your own country. So treason has definitely taken place. Everything to do with me, everyone involved in my case where they have breach their public office duty, they've all committed treason. If they are linked, if they have found to be linked to anyone associated with the sport involving relationship scam. But the penalty is definitely 14 years imprisonment. So if you are in government, doesn't matter what you're doing, the laws are still active about treason. So if you get caught out, you can be charged for treason. Those laws still actually active today, but unfortunately I have discovered what I've been through does definitely involve treason because it's a global game. Okay, so human trafficking by force is different types of human trafficking by force, but the one I'm subject to is I've been used. It's called trafficking in persons. It means that I'm being basically controlled and manipulated by several perpetrators. The thing is, I don't know who they are. Why it's trafficking by force or trafficking in person, because it's personal. Okay, it's a personal vendetta. Like they are every step, every footstep you go, they're monitoring and pinning you down, watching your every move, and it is in person. So there's another person. Your whole environment is contaminated. But it is definitely unlawful investigation. Unlawful everything. Unlawful investigation is involved, and it's definitely a Category 4 case because it's a slavery in the end. Like at the end of it all, I can now prove that I've been subject to some kind of slavery or slave-like system, which has a lot of elements of serious violent offences without a shadow of doubt now. So it is by force. These people want to keep your mouth shut or don't stop you from expressing your truth, or just stopping you from getting out of their control and manipulation. But in saying that, you're not safe even if they control and manipulate you, because they can still try and conspire to murder you while everyone else thinks you're safe when you're not really. But this also can be done because someone wants to murder you for organ harvesting. For those that don't know, people around the world globally do pay a lot of money for organs, and then I have found that it's easy for doctors and other medical practitioners to actually use people just for experiments. That's why we have laws, is to actually avoid that kind of thing from happening. But people can be basically used for anything monetary. All right. Okay, the end result of the trafficking in persons project is definitely crimes against humanity, because they are dehumanizing. It is a dehumanizing of humans, and that is exactly what they have done to me. I may appear like I'm okay on the surface, but what they've done to me intimately and personally, emotionally, and just everything, it's actually really quite tragic on myself, and it's inhumane, and everything else in between. But it is definitely now my case definitely falls in crimes against humanity, which is actually life imprisonment. Okay, so what I'm actually basically focusing on in all my video clips is the protection of my personal property rights and my personal existence, or the facts that I've written in my statement. They're actually true and real. So basically all I've done is actually make them all come to life. But it is my right to do that because I know that they've actually used me and deleted my past in the process. Okay, if you're a Christian, they call it spiritual warfare, but I have found that this system, it is manifesting, it's a new age system, and it is manifesting, people that believe in witchcraft and are actually warlocks. When I was actually working for my employer, I didn't realize that some people I was actually working with actually believed in witches and that, and I just, I just mind my own business, but I do have my ears open, but they do exist, like in the real world. They're humans who have an opposing belief to yours, if whatever your belief is. And me, I'm a Christian, and I knew I was up against that, but I still minded my own business. But I knew I was going to get attacked, and that's exactly what actually happened to me in reality. But what we're actually dealing with when you are actually in a new age mass incarceration, you are dealing with constructive interference versus the destructive interference. So it's either positive or negative. Even something that may look positive in first instance is actually not positive because somebody else has a plan which is not good for you further down the line if you're not aware, or if you're not able to say no. Some people can't say no, or they just go with it, and then they end up being misled, and it can be quite dangerous. It is organized crime, by the way. Right, so we're dealing with psychological warfare. All right, so I'm dealing with my truth, and they're covering it up with their lies. This is why I have to deal with this public deception for the sake of those watching me, because indirect deception or indirect force that is negative will eventually overrule all your good, everything good about you, and then you look like you end up being in a death row, like what I've gone through. But that's the whole idea of the public deception, and this is why I'm contesting and denouncing anything public for the sake of those watching me, and I'll probably keep doing that until I have to. But it is a project where I'm being twin, like somebody is actually pretending to live my life, or living off whatever positive or whatever I'm being used for on the surface, but it's the motive intent is wrong. Okay, so there's the criminal motive and intent, there's a pecuniary advantage for them, which is the way they have received it or taken it is wrong. That becomes a criminal offence. So basically this is what I'm dealing with. Like in the old age, in the old system before technologies, people would protect their own property, like their businesses, what they own, their assets. They'll do anything to protect it, and now they're like, things are so different, and they're just using the misuse of devices, and it is definitely a global game, which makes it even more dangerous for all the originals that is trapped. Okay, so but at the end of the day, only one is the victim and one is the perpetrator, or one is the defendant. You can't be both. So one is actually telling lies and the other one is telling the truth. So I'm just challenging and opposing the public deception with my own truth and my own words. Okay, so all the sabotaging I've gone through historically has all been intentional. Everything has been contaminated by the opposing allies who are secretly stealing, or it ends up being a very serious, dangerous Commonwealth game, because they're using sound effects, they're just texting each other, they're coding everybody, and then they're actually honestly stealing. Okay, but the sabotage is intentional to stop, if you're targeted, to stop you from going further. Their whole idea is to stop you from going forward, to stop something from happening, and then they're doing actually hostage taking. So, or they're poaching or stealing from your business or stealing your business idea, or so like a business can do this to a business, so it can happen to anybody, it can happen to an individual, and they can actually even do it to your children while they're in school. So I just feel in my heart that everyone needs to be warned, and it's better to be scared and know what to do than be scared and don't know what to do. So we're dealing with the big brother is watching you, okay? It's that easy to even see anyone up for a crime. It's that easy to cause a division within your own private relationships at home and stuff. So it's that easy. All right, I've got to tell the truth as it is. But in the beginning, I believe I was used for, like a Game of Thrones, like, the queen and the king, and then all the public is trying to, win or choose who should be the king and the queen. But it's that kind of a game. And a lot of cultures, or a lot of cultures and different beliefs, like people publicly, they're like really, they find these things they're dangerous. They're very dangerous because these people actually do break the law, and they will break the law to win something, whether it's murdering the person or sabotaging or sacrificing themselves, but they will do anything in the name of whatever it is that they believe. So I felt that they have done that to me, except I've been a single person while I was working for my employer, but other cultures have found me like some kind of a threat, and they have used relationship scam. They've used relationship scams as an excuse to work through this negative alliance, and keeping myself enslaved. And that's what's happened. They're actually using, substitutes or whomever they've chosen, and they're moving through those people, and that's what actually happens. And they all work together to sabotage and to help whoever they've chosen to win whatever it is that they're after. And this is where all the third party relationship with the cheating, and it's on radio, you just need to listen to it. I'm an older mature female, and so they have like used younger females, and then they're actually making them look good for the public eye, to pick that person as the better person. But the thing is it is a real game, but I didn't, I knew it was happening, I suffered. There's a lot of suffering. They do intend on hurting you and everything else. But it's actually quite serious because, they are doing the attacks personally and intimately, thinking that they'll get away with it because they're doing it when no one is looking. So we're talking about motive and intent. Okay, so in my cases, if you've watched the other video clips, I've gone over and I've actually publicly named those women linked to my cases, but the alliance is they're just using different people all the time. They just keep using different people, and they just keep stealing, and the whole idea is to keep myself suppressed, or from going forward, or being released from being enslaved. And it is warlike, like it's a real warlike game, especially when it's involving a global, everyone involved in this game trying to, intermarry or, get themselves a rich man using another person. But the whole idea is to actually steal. So I'm basically dealing with my property, which is everything to do with me, my personal property, my private property, medical records, legal documents, my employment records. All these documents, they all have to actually be accurate. None of it should actually be deleted or anything. So this is what I'm actually fighting for legally in court, is to actually have all those things made correct. It is definitely indictable offence cases, but it's the system's diverted, and that's how I feel with what everyone's done to me. The actual system's diverted, so instead of it being direct, it's indirect. And then you go out and then you're up against people doing indirect abuse or indirect threats or indirect emotional blackmail. So that is what I'm subject to, but there's definitely privacy invasion, and they're breaking every law there is because they don't have a legal search warrant. So it's really easy to set up and to steal. But they are using the phones, the mobiles, and then they're deleting evidence, they're hacking. It's so easy to do. Mobiles are easy to hack. They're hacking through your Wi-Fi. Like they only need one person just to monitor you and keep an eye on you and set you up and follow you. Okay, we're dealing with natural force and organized force. Right, so I'm natural person. I'm the sort of person I don't like people thinking for me. I don't like to talk for other people. I just I'm my own person, my own personality, and that's just the way I am, and it's my right to do that. But this new age system, the robot system, they are forcing their beliefs on an individual, or they're using people for a product to promote other people, or like an app. Okay, this here is called cookie. All right, if I was to undo and go back, how did I get so intimately to a point where people are controlling and stealing from my bank account? It's because of this system. Okay, this started here while I was working for the Ministry of Justice. It's called Cookie. They're kind of sort of hidden away since I started exposing them. But the whole idea is, even the way that they've set up the bank accounts and how you access it online and everything, it is accessible for anyone who is monitoring you to actually have a peek into your bank accounts and what you've got in your bank accounts, and what your assets, how much money you're making. They can easily the system is set out how they're doing it, and it's not hard for them to easily just pick up where they left and continue, and they're just using different people all the time, but that's all part of being exploited like a robot. So they can leave the crime scene, come back anytime, and continue with their work, and then they're coding everybody globally and just letting everyone know that you're actually their target, so anyone can actually just come in your space and steal off you or do whatever whatever they've been told what to do. And it is a global game. It can happen to anyone, okay? So it doesn't matter if you think you've got a secure job and lots of money, but what's happened to me can happen to anyone if you aren't aware. But these are all the things that I have gone through personally, and I'm sharing it from my own words, my own personal experience. But in the beginning, when I was working for the Ministry of Justice, the system, they called it Cookie, but it means the person that is being used, like what they've used me for, their whole intention is to keep me pinned down, and then they're using me like some kind of a computer, blah blah blah. But unfortunately, in the criminal jurisdiction, it's actually the crimes and the offences that's happened to me personally actually fall into the criminal jurisdiction, as some of the offences are third-degree criminal offences. Okay, so that's quite serious, but they are serious violent offences. Just for I'm almost finished with the introduction. So just keep in mind that I'm actually the animated or inanimated. So your family all can be in my situation. So what I'm saying is what's happened to me can happen to anyone further down, down any time when they grow up, when your children grow up. These kind of things can happen to them because they've been already studied. The whole idea is, when it's courts, only one is actually doing the right thing and the other one isn't. So the person that is doing the subway or the twinning, they're the opposing allies. They are the enemy. Okay, they are the perpetrators. They are breaking the law, and their whole motive and intent is to steal whatever it is they're after of you. And it is an illegal Commonwealth game, and they are switching. Well, as far as me and Henry is concerned, we are both definitely worth a lot of money, so it has to do with that. And historically, people have done that with me historically, and I can actually prove that now. Definitely it's a love triangle, and I have found that everyone's just joined forces. Okay, all the other everyone that's broken the laws have all joined forces over both of us. Okay, so our whole area is contaminated, and but thank God for good people, because there are still good people out there. But the whole system is set out. They can mug you and then set you up with their people. And in the beginning, it may look like they're doing you a favor. Then later on, you think, oh, you know what, I actually think that was part of a setup. But yeah, it is definitely a dehumanizing of a individual, whether it's to take them down on a financial ruin or to end up they're stealing as things happening. All right, and then if the police aren't interacting, and when you make complaints, that's just a sign that you're definitely targeted and on a blacklisting or black market system. But it is a love triangle that I've been used for. So we've got all these people that are jealous and envious, and the game is reliant on an alliance. It's full of jealousy, and it's a hate alliance from my perspective, from the victim's perspective, and so they all kind of like join forces because somehow there's money involved, and that is what I've been subject to. And that's what Henry's been subject to. Okay, so we are talking about a breach, and as we know it, it only takes one breach, and it sunk the Titanic. But we're talking about something that's been going on with me historically, and people just they've wanted me to bury everything and don't want anything to be dug up. Unfortunately, in the real world of the legal criminal jurisdiction, I'm still, a human being and an individual, and I'm still entitled to justice and everything else that comes from being a victim, and then making the defendants accountable. Okay, so it's like the evidence is quite concrete now, and we'll be dealing with more so after the fact evidence on my profile. But I'm just using this as an example. Once your privacy's gone, you're always at risk of being attacked. And that's what they've done to me. Okay, so I've just reliving the facts and bringing everything up to surface to do with me and Henry. And he's my private life, and I'm his private life. And I have actually hated his celebrity world, and because at first I didn't understand it, and then I'm like, from my point of view, the things people were doing is like, you can't do that, you can't. But that is the celebrity life, and that is the what is going on out in the real world. But then reality hit me that everything that I was going through, going backwards to 2010, is exactly what I'm going through now. It's just a different set of circumstances, but it's exactly the same criminal alliance. So I've actually just been using my social media platform basically just to denounce the deception and giving the public the choice of who are they going to believe. Okay, so I'm being used as a robot, a sport, and I have not consented to any of it. So I make no apology of whatever I expose, because it's my right to, and it's also for the sake of those that don't even know how the system works. It is definitely mens rea, it's criminal, everything's already done, the motive and the intent and the recklessness and the negligence is already concrete and on file. Okay, so even if these people are dead, the evidence is concrete that there's definitely been recklessness or a criminal negligence from whichever corporate body that has actually committed these crimes. It is Category 4 case, and being global makes it even worse for anyone. Okay, before I go on to the next evidence, I wanted to kind of like just actually denounce, okay? But I have to do all these things because of my court cases that's still active, and I have a feeling that now I understand why all this has taken place and why unlawful strikes is going on. It's very likely that the judges or whoever are making decisions are watching the public deception as part of an investigation. So it's my right to denounce those deception and lies, and it's also evidence for my case in the criminal jurisdiction. But what public deception is in law, it is definitely it's a conspiring to bring false accusation on a person that is actually innocent. Okay, so if you look here, I'll just mark it out. There's a reason why we have law, that if you conspire against a person that's actually innocent, spiritually and even legally, you've actually like not only like it's actually quite serious spiritually, it's very serious spiritually, and it's also very serious legally. Okay, so conspiring to bring false accusation on an innocent person is a very serious crime. And I know I've mentioned this before, and I'll mention it again for those that are new on board, but anyone who did these kind of crimes, they would get the death penalty. This law, just this law on its own, used to be the death penalty. If you conspire to destroy somebody by ruining their reputation, of course with all the other components of the Crimes Act that actually protects a person from being dehumanized. Okay, so you are in a very serious situation if people is doing that. But that is what I've been going through personally, legally, publicly, and spiritually. I'm up against a negative force, that is negative, and it's not integrity, that's for sure. Okay, you can't be both. But this law here on its own used to be the death penalty. So basically you're breaking God's laws, okay? The laws didn't just come about because they just came about. They were actually, the laws from my research, the laws were actually in place because they were moved by godly men and women who were actually moved by the Holy Spirit. And it's actually linked to the Bible. That's my discovery. So if you're breaking the law and everything else, you are sabotaging. That's 10 years imprisonment. Okay. So anything to do with my case, it's accessory after the fact. Okay, so what I'm saying is, if I don't make it, if I don't get what I want from the courts and having my legal, profile legally made right, because that's what I'm contesting, is for them to actually do the right thing according to the law and compensate me according to the law, and like just putting closure for me so I can go forward. And I am an innocent person historically, and people have seriously invaded my home or my life or my soul without my permission, that's a very serious offence. So basically what I have gone and done is gone ahead of them, and so if that's not resolved in court, anyone else competent, anyone else, God's people will take over my case and make sure everyone gets prosecuted. Okay. Not only that, it's also to bring an awareness to everyone in public how important it is, public deception, and like your private, what happens in your private life is your business. It doesn't belong to the public unless you give it to the public. Even if a person is a public property, it doesn't mean they have the right to play games, and interfere with their private life unless they've given that permission, or unless they've signed some kind of a contract that allows anyone to do that. And I haven't done that to anybody. Okay, I haven't given anyone in New Zealand permission. I haven't given my family any permission. I haven't given anyone in government permission to do what they've done to me.
Recently, I've been filming Voltron on the Gold Coast, and I've had such an enjoyable experience here. Everyone has been warm, kind, and welcoming, so I just wanted to say thank you for your hospitality. Australia has proven to be a wonderful host.
All right, I'm denouncing this public clip, all right, because everyone's been watching me and they know my version of facts of with Henry. Okay, my relationship with him is actually deeper than just a relationship, unfortunately, because of there's a lot of spiritual reasoning and importance with my relationship with Henry. And I feel God is using it, okay? But I'm denouncing this because the public, it is still floating in public, and I can actually tell who the public is believing and who isn't. But I'm denouncing it. I've had to talk to Henry today about it, and we both want to denounce it because it's affecting my, like I said, my court cases and, the public, everything, whatever it is. But we are denouncing it because they've put here that this is the official Henry. It's not, okay? That's his double. And if you watch some of his movies, like if you go watch Witcher, for an example, they use, like, his voice is different. They can do anything. Technology can do anything on your voice, okay? And it looks like him. And at first when I saw it, I said, when I first saw it, before I actually showed it to him, I thought to myself, he better have a good reason for this, because it's so believable. All right, but he's really upset about it because, one, he didn't give permission for this man to be his double, for this man to go and live his life pretending that he's in public right now and is engaged with Natalie, and then Natalie and him are like looking like the happy couple to the public eye, because Henry's actually a very influenced man because of his celebrity life. And I know that a lot of other celebrities probably go through the same thing he's gone through. But this here is a double, okay? And for those that are unfamiliar about the celebrity culture, the people do this all the time. And millionaires, billionaires, and people like that, they do use doubles all the time, okay? I hate anyone in my space and using me for anything. And so, I'm very old-fashioned way of thinking because I'm not used to this kind of culture. The people I'm brought up with don't do that. And in the legal terminology, that's illegal. You just don't do that. But, however, this man here is a double. Okay, Henry said that he didn't sign any contract with his PR. He didn't know that this is even going on. Although I told him, I've been telling him, that everyone thinks that he's in Australia and that everyone's going, oh, he's gone to Australia. But everything to do with me and him is clearly, you can tell it's all premeditated, everything. All right, so we're denouncing this. He is not with Natalie, and Natalie is linked to the government and linked to my court cases, and just like all the other women linked to everything else in my private life, suppressing me while they're doing what they're doing without my permission. So Henry was really upset. He didn't know what to do about it. I mean, what can he do? But what I'm concerned about is here are these original people like Henry and myself, and I'm sure there are others, minding their own business and trying, they're actually fighting for their life, like fighting to go forward, fighting to start fresh and get away from all this. And then we've got all these people in our space, organising, setting us up with their people, so then we're trapped, right? Because obviously there's money involved on the surface here. So I am denouncing this video clip, okay?
Thank you.
It does look like him.
And now onto the segue. Australia has also...
Okay, and this is also for a big court case in the future, or whatever, whatever happens after everything. So we are denouncing this. He is not with Natalie Visky. So this is a tactic by those Women's Alliance to, because in my application, some of my applications in court, I've actually put Henry in there. I've got other personal applications that I've put in that I've submitted to other corporate bodies. I've put Henry in there. And so I know that they're reading my applications, and then they're creating evidence to make it look like, I'm just making up my story. They're trying to create fraudulent evidence on the surface, but the reality is these people, it's a conspiracy, okay? They're conspiring. Hang on, let's just have a look. There you go. They are conspiring to bring false accusation, so that can come under. There's heaps of other laws that would fall under this. Henry is also an innocent person. Okay, he is an innocent man, and I'm not just saying that because I'm in love with him or he's in love with me. You've got to put your emotions away. But when it comes to the law, he's actually an innocent person, and those people are conspiring to bring false accusation to actually deceive the public, right?
And now the award for Best Supporting Actor in Film, and the nominees are... And the actor award for Best Supporting Actor is...
Right, I think... Right. And now we have got this female is talking a lot about Henry and Natalie, and then she goes on about herself being Henry's, a girlfriend, and she's actually said quite a lot of things that's not good. But I don't know if people realize it, but it's actually illegal to do tarot readings on anyone unless the actual individual has consented. Right, so unless Henry has told her personally to do a reading for him or to continue doing what she is doing, she's committing the crimes of defamation, libel and slander, and a lot of other crimes, criminal offences, just in some of her claps, okay? So we're denouncing that too, because the whole idea is, especially involving myself, and this is to do, with my public criminal court case that's currently pending, and I'm, it's happening, and it's also for the sake of other people who are unaware of the deception of devices. Okay, but this is what you would call a conspiracy. Okay, it's like these people are glued to what you're doing, and then they're actually stealing the other person's energy, and then they're making predictions on Natalie and Henry's private life, and yet they're not even together in real life. So I have a problem with that. So because treason is quite clearly is happening in my court cases, everybody in government all fall under, all these other laws, unfortunately. But that's the truth. So unless Henry has given Natalie their permission and this other female their permission to do what they're doing, they are actually breaking the law. Okay. All All right, there's a lot of breaches taken place on both of us personally, like myself being the actual victim of crimes, and that's the truth of the matter. So, they are what they're doing to me personally and him personally. I mean, it's quite hurtful for me to listen to the radio and I hear the alliance. I mean, they're using songs and lyrics, excuse me, in reference or in favor of these women. And I just know, and I just feel the whole atmosphere is really dangerous for myself. But the acts of torture actually takes place in cases like mine because they're dealing with, personal torture, mental torture, and there's, a lot of other emotional torture involved, and it's intentional, okay? So just for all that, the cases that's happened to me personally is definitely acts of torture, and that's 14 years imprisonment. I've actually charged the Ministry of Health for that, and that's still pending at the moment. That's one of the charges, okay? The Ministry of Health has actually been charged about 29 charges, and then but I'll update you guys with that as time go on. You can call it human nature, but it hasn't been funny what they're doing. Okay, the technology has just made it easier for cons to actually steal of people. Okay, so we're definitely dealing with, this is the new age system, and I'm going through it myself at the moment with the Ministry of Health and City Med. The others will follow suit, but apparently I'm the first one in New Zealand who's gone this far with my case, but I feel that it's actually really important that I keep myself public for now, for public safety, and because what I'm going through, it's a global game, which makes it even more dangerous for me, okay, because they come out when I'm by myself. Okay, so in a conspiracy involving relationship scams, usually if there's, in my case, I know that some of the men that I've been really good friends with and, like in the beginning and stuff like that before all this turned into a game. But at the end of the day, when it comes to stuff like this, everyone has to stand before a judge alone, okay? You have to stand for God alone. And I have to do the same thing. But I'm not going to die in my truth, and I'm not going to take the truth to my grave, because I don't feel God wants me to do that at all. But this is the new age system, and these are the women that they are being used, but these women are not a reflection of every other nationality that's linked to them, okay? In the court of law, they're actually their defendant, okay? So what I'm saying is, when you break the law, you stand before a judge as an individual. They won't judge you as a group. Yes, you may be judged as a group, but you will be sentenced as an individual in your part, okay? But deception and being devious is fraud, and you can't cover it up. The truth just becomes quite evidential, and everyone can see it. Okay, so if you're following me on Facebook page, I hope you enjoy some of my posts. I'll just turn this off because that's actually from my perspective and also interpreting what the actual law means, and in relation to humans who do what they're doing that is actually illegal. So basically, being animated or inanimated, they are duplicating the original, and they can do that to your whole family. But you should never allow it to happen. You need to protect your family from anyone doing that, okay? Because when it's a global game, at the end of the day, people, when people have broken the law and they've actually helped each other take off. Like, they've come in my space, break the law and then leave the crime scene. They're flying from overseas, then they've broken the law and then take off. And then not only that, if somebody is liable for some pretty serious charges, they're coding and just tipping off the people here in New Zealand to break the law. And this is where the personal attacks come out when I go out by myself. Okay, so it's no laughing matter. I haven't found it fun at all. But I can actually confirm that the person that is doing the twin or is being used as a substitute, they're just using me for a foot in the door. Okay, but everything links to my profile and my court cases. Okay, I thought I'd finish it with this. I know people have judged me for all kinds of sins, blah, blah, blah. But this here is not that it's any of your business, because my sin belongs to me, your sin belongs to you. It's none of my business. And but if you're actually in public office, whether you're, judiciary, police, whatever, that if you actually, it's actually, being biased and prejudiced, separating your job and not getting involved in other people's private business, you're actually committing sin spiritually. Like I said before, my own finding, have found that the Bible is actually linked to the laws and how they actually came about. So you got to remember that, so we're not just dealing with natural matters, you're dealing with spiritual matters too. So I just thought I'll finish it. I'll finish this video clip on this note.